Back again, back again, back again. It has been some time since I've been able to make a video of this format. So, hello YouTube. And I just want to drop a message today. It crossed my mind, I really have not taken the time to sit back and deliver a message about what my travels have taught me or what I've learned. And I have so much to say. So I'll try to keep it short, sweet. But essentially, the first thing I want to say, well, I'll kind of try to break it down. So there's a lot of things that you can learn from travel. I mean, it's a never-ending lesson, right? Such as life. However, there's some main things that I'll say. One is getting out of your comfort zone. Two, let's say, is being able to face your fears and understand yourself. Find out what your true limits are and push yourself to those limits, right? And thus develop new limits and always be pushing yourself and learning new things. Three, I would say that you can even heal yourself. You can heal past trauma. You can heal mental illness. You can heal actual physical ailments, right? And I'll try to go through and break these things down. So first, the getting out of your comfort zone. So the comfort zone limits us greatly. And your comfort zone is made up by a number of things. It's going to be made up by your job. It's going to be made up by the people that you surround yourself with. It's going to be made up by your situation in life, your background, your education level. And all of these things compound to create your comfort level, your comfort zone. So what you think you're capable of, and thus what you choose to pursue. And in that, for me personally, I found that because I had, a certain level of education, I had created certain income sources, or I found myself able to make a certain amount of money, I kind of had a limited perspective. I did have a limited perspective on what I was capable of or what experiences I could have. And ultimately, it took a lot of lessons for me to recognize that those experiences or that comfort, the present, was not dictating what my future could be. It simply was the culmination of what my past had been, right? So my future was still limitless potential. And once I realized that, it triggered in me a response to start taking more chances, right? And that started with moving out of the state that I had been in, moving out of the state that I grew up in, and taking time to go live in another state. And thus I put myself in a situation where not only where I'm living is new, but now I've got to face all these other obstacles, right? Getting a house in another state, yeah, setting up utilities, meeting neighbors that I've never met before, and that was just one step, right? And that's not even going into travel and to travel internationally. So when we talk about leaving the country you were born in, going places where people don't speak the same language as you, where people have entirely different cultures as you, getting off a plane with nothing but a book bag or whatever you take with you, and then diving into that culture and literally having no choice but to connect with these with people in these new surroundings, right? And the things that will expose you to will force you to, it will literally destroy your comfort zone. And I think that's what a lot of us are missing, is that we are so deep in the comfort zone, we don't recognize how to get out of it, right? We don't realize that there is a way out of it. And sometimes the way out of it is by simply shattering it, by looking at where you are in life and deciding that you're going to take a chance to pursue something or to engage with something that you have never done before in your life, right? For me, first time I really did that was stepping out and going to Thailand. And Thailand, the Philippines, and it was crazy. It was crazy. I was dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, literal mental illness, depression, all kind of stuff was going on in my life. And I decided that it was because I was running through these same loops, right? These same loops of behavior, and thus I was developing the same loops psychologically, in my way of perceiving my life. And I decided that the best way to do that was to face it. And in order to face it, I needed to give it a form, per se. I needed to create this thing to fight. And for me, that was setting a limitation and then beating that limitation. So I knew that I had never left America. And then I pushed myself to go beyond that boundary and to leave America. And I left with 2 bags and went to a foreign country on the other side of the planet that I knew very little about. And it worked out. You know, I didn't speak Thai. I don't speak much Thai now. And I dived in. I went, you know, with all these things going on in my life, not feeling the greatest. I went and immediately, right? Immediately, I was shot into, oh, okay, all that shit doesn't matter. That stuff that I'm worried about at home, that stuff that's got me feeling anxious or whatever, that shit doesn't matter. Because now I'm in an entirely new world filled with threats, right? With perceived threats, just from a biological standpoint. You know, my brain's picking up on all this new stuff. That's like, oh wow, like this, I've never encountered this before. You know, I don't even know what these people are saying, and turn that into an opportunity for growth. Turn that into an opportunity to develop my peace, to learn more about myself, right? To learn more about things that I actually enjoy doing, things that actually leave me feeling a sense of fulfillment, as opposed to things that I was indoctrinated into doing or taught to do or just raised up doing, and I do them on repeat, right? So then that will break your comfort zone and will allow you to really get to know yourself. And that goes back to the overcoming fears. So number 2 is like solo travel will allow you to overcome your fears if you allow it to do so. A lot of the times we have fears that we don't challenge, and we don't recognize that the fear is just in our mind, right? The fear isn't actually tangible, you know? So you'll have a negative experience, right? Let's say you get bitten by a dog. I got bitten by a dog the other day. It was pretty funny. Anyway, I think it's only the second time it's happened in my life. But let's say you get bitten by a dog. So I could take that experience of being bitten by a dog and tell myself, okay, this is going to happen anytime I encounter an animal. Anytime I encounter a dog or any other animal that has the potential to harm me, it's going to harm me, right? And thus I build a reality around myself. And in building that reality, I now operate under these rules of every time I interact with an animal, it's going to harm me. And we have those perceptions of many things. We have those perceptions of many things. So if I leave my hometown, something negative is going to happen. If I leave my country of origin, something negative is going to happen, right? If I go skydiving, which I've done, if I go paragliding, if I ride a motorcycle, if I pursue something outside of the norm, right? If I knit a sweater, whatever it is that you're like, oh, I kind of want to do that, but people are going to judge me, or maybe it won't work out. When you actually do it and you push yourself through that discomfort, you not only want to overcome the fear to break out of your comfort zone, but 3, you find out what it is that truly drives you. You know, if there's something that's kind of on your heart to do, I suggest doing it, right? Put yourself in a position where you can do it as safely as possible with as much awareness as possible and do that thing. And if it fulfills you, then continue to do it, build up your skill set, or just build up your ability to do that thing as often as you want to in whatever way that it suits you, right? Now, the trick to that is to not get stagnant, because you will find things that you love. And I think in finding those things that you love, you'll recognize that maybe you're even building a new comfort zone, right? And to not get stuck in that. But I will say that if you're building a new comfort zone and it's one that you're satisfied with and you're happy with, and you don't feel like you're going and doing monotonous things in your life that literally drain the life from you, then build the hell out of that comfort zone and stay in it, right? And I'll say number 3 is just healing. The healing that solo travel can bring you is beyond words. So for me, I was dealing with some physical ailments myself. Like my diet wasn't all that great, and so my body was trying to let me know that, right? And by traveling, I was able to expose myself to entirely different ways of preparing meals, entirely different diets, right? And by doing that, that triggered in my mind, oh, okay, these are the things that I can eat, and my body is accepting them, and it's even giving me more energy. It's allowing me to live a more plentiful life, right? A life of more abundance because I feel better. And so, in doing that, I was also able to return home, right? And now when I travel and I go home, I can take those concepts with me. I can take those recipes with me, and it's changed how I eat completely. So now I can still have that same sense of fulfillment in my diet when I'm not on the road or I'm not traveling, and I can still be nourished in a healthy way because I've gone to these places, I've seen how they eat, and now those recipes have stuck with me, and I can come home and I can create and manage my diet with new ideas instead of eating the same crappy old food that I was eating beforehand, right? Because I didn't know any better. I believe that it can also heal mental illness. It can heal a lot of those things that are brought on by trauma. So when you're traumatized or you're in a place where you're unable to really cope with experiences that have happened to you, and they are burdening you and holding you back from living your best life or from being yourself fully, you can step out of that by simply putting yourself in a situation to prove to yourself, or just to recognize, really I'd say recognize, that you are worthy, that you are whole, and that you are complete. And a lot of those perceptions you have of not being worthy or not feeling the greatest are being perpetuated by your way of thinking or your perception. If you have a job that you hate going to and you continue going to it because you feel like that is the only option you have, you will continue to find reasons to justify that that's the only option you have. When you take a chance, a leap of faith, and you really put yourself out there, you'll find out, oh, that's not the only option for me. I have this abundance of options, and I can pursue all of these things. And these things will, taking these different roads will give me an opportunity to actually feel good about life, to actually wake up in the morning and feel excited about what I do. And that's where I find myself. That's what I feel like traveling has done for me, is just open my eyes to new experiences that I can have. And I don't have to live the monotonous life. I don't have to do the things that I was taught or told to do growing up, right? As we get older, we fall in line with that. We're like, okay, the 9 to 5, that's how I pay my bills. I need this house and I need this car and I'm supposed to get married and all these things that we're taught, but they're not true. They're just a part of our culture. So throwing ourselves into other cultures, throwing ourselves into to the wolves per se, right, will show us that we are not so vulnerable, and we're not going to get torn to shreds by stepping out of the box and thinking differently from everyone else around us. And in fact, what I've come to find is that by thinking outside of the box, by taking more risks, taking chances, and really developing myself into the person that I feel like aligns with my spirit, as opposed to just who I am in the ego and how I operate with the physical world. And in doing that, I feel like I've become the kind of person, and it's a constant journey. I'm always becoming better, but I've become the kind of person that can inspire other people, and to do things to live their best life, right? Whereas beforehand, I would have been just another cog in the machine to tell you to be a cog in the machine. So I encourage you to get out there and to pursue things that really drive your passion, and make your heart race, right? Because you, one, can't believe you're doing it, but two, you knew that you wanted to do it your whole life. Because that will inspire the people around you to do the same thing, and we can gradually create a world that's different from one that we don't want to necessarily experience. But that's pretty much the lingo. That's the message today. It's just that you can break years of trauma. You can break these loops that you have running in your head, telling you these negative things, so that you're not good enough, or that you're stuck in a situation. And I don't care if you're 60 years old, if you're 100 years old, if you're fucking 20 years old, you can change what you're doing. If you've got kids, if you've got a family to take care of, it's just that we get caught in these ideas that this is the only way to resolve this situation, is doing whatever it is that I'm doing, right? But there are options for you if you take that chance, do that thing that's on your mind that you really want to do, take the risk, right? And it may not work out the first time. but there will be lessons in that that will gradually create a path for you if you're willing to keep going, because the universe is always going to hit you with those tests and make sure that this is what you truly want. And when you get hit with those tests, you continue to persevere. And as you persevere, I assure you that you will find your path and you will find a way to succeed and to support yourself, support your loved ones, be an inspiration to others, and truly live a life that you're proud of. So get out there, travel, enjoy your life, go have experiences that you're too afraid to have, and let me know how it goes in the comments. I will see you in the next video.